Hi, this is Dr. Rodger Murphree, your FibroDoctor.com, author of Treating and Beating Fibromyalgia and Chronic T Syndrome. In today's fibromyalgia health tip, I'd like to share some information I think you'll find helpful in your quest to feel good again. I've been in private practice for 26 years, and for the last 20 years I've specialized in fibromyalgia, and I've been blessed to help thousands of patients feel good again over those last 20 years. 95% of my practice is phone consults. I get to work with patients all over the world. And one of the things that I encounter on a daily basis, which is so frustrating, I know it's frustrating for you, it's frustrating for me, and I don't even have fibromyalgia, but what I hear are doctors who are just clueless about the illness. And so this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek presentation here about Jeff Foxworthy. You may be a redneck if. Well, I wrote a blog article a couple of years ago about you may have a stupid doctor if, and I've toned it down a little bit, but it still applies. And but you may have a clueless doctor. Let's say it that way. If he or she, number one, doesn't believe that fibromyalgia is real. You know, unfortunately, we still have doctors out there who don't believe fibromyalgia is real, and I will go on to some of the medical board sites, and I'll share some information about fibromyalgia, or I'll be at a conference either lecturing or in participating in a conference, and I'll meet doctors either through conversation or in person who don't believe in fibromyalgia. I mean, it's unbelievable to me, but there are doctors out there, and I know you've encountered them. But those doctors are clueless. Get another doctor. You might have a clueless doctor if he or she tells you that you just need to get more rest. You know, you need to get more sleep, right? I mean, you would love to sleep, but you know, you can't go to sleep unless you take something that knocks you out. I mean, for many of you, you try to go to sleep at night, and that's when you catch your second wind. You're actually waking up. You have more energy at bedtime than you've had all day. So you do all the stuff around the house. You get ready for maybe work the next day if you're still working. Many of you are not, but you do all these things because you finally got a burst of energy. But I mean, you don't get sleep. So this doctor obviously doesn't know what they're talking about. But they'll tell you to get more sleep, and they'll tell you to exercise. Well, you would love to exercise, but for most days you can't even get out of bed. For many of you, right? Many of the patients that I've worked with over the last 20 years were bedridden when they first started working with me. And so it's not unusual that is a common theme in your life as well. But to tell you that you just need to exercise, they don't have a clue, because you have bankrupted your stress coping chemicals. And while exercise is a great thing, I mean, it really is, but when you've bankrupted your stress coping chemicals, you can't handle stress. And exercise is a stress, a healthy stress, but it's a stress. But you can't handle any more stress. It'll cause you to have a flare-up. Then they'll tell you, well, you just need to lose weight, right? Like all your problems are because you're overweight. Now, losing weight can be helpful, and when patients who work with me, they'll do an anti-inflammatory diet, and they'll lose 20, 40, some patients will lose over 100 pounds in a very safe, healthy way. But that's a means to an end. Their extra weight that they're carrying doesn't cause fibromyalgia. It's a byproduct of the fact that their body's metabolism has broken down either through taking medication like Lyrica, gabapentin, Neurontin, these medications that have sabotaged their metabolism, or they've just gotten so run down, they can't exercise, they're very sedentary. But being overweight is not your problem. Now, your problem, which is fibromyalgia in a broken down system, creates the overweight. That's the issue there. So don't ever let anybody tell you that your problem is just that you need to lose weight. Again, it's a means to the end. And when patients work with me, I do work with them to help them lose the weight, because you store inflammatory chemicals in any extra fat cells that you have. The other thing you see is when you're carrying extra weight, you have tendency you're at risk of high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes and all the things that we don't want you to have. So when patients are working with me, the goal is to get them healthy, because really that's the only way you can feel good again, and more importantly, stay that way. So you got to get healthy. That's the only way it works. Doing this 20 years, you can't drug your way out of fibromyalgia. You have to get healthy. And that's what that's what my book is all about. Now, the other thing they'll do is they'll just tell you, well, you're just depressed, right? Well, I mean, who wouldn't be depressed, though? I mean, if you are, I mean, some of you are, but many of you are not. I mean, you're just, you're run down, but you're not depressed. But who wouldn't be depressed if you've had this thing called fibromyalgia for several years? You've been to numerous doctors, and none of them have been able to help you. And you see that every year that goes by, you're getting worse and worse, which is the nature of fibromyalgia. I mean, I get pretty down as well. So, but to tell you that you're just depressed and that's all it is, obviously they don't have a clue. Then many doctors, they're trying to cover up every symptom that you have. And the problem with that mentality is, again, you can't drug your way out of fibromyalgia. If you're just trying to treat the symptoms, you're going to find that fibromyalgia, there's so many daggum symptoms, right? I mean, so before you know it, you're on half a dozen to a dozen drugs. You're a drug to to put you asleep, a drug to wake you up, a drug to speed you up, a drug to slow you down. And, pretty soon you don't even know what you're taking. You're just taking a whole host of pills throughout the day, and you don't know if they're helping or not, right? But, so you got a clueless doctor if he or she just continues to add more and more drugs to your regimen, especially so, this to be the case, if they put you on more than one antidepressant. What I see a lot of times, and it is a giveaway right away that this patient is working with an amateur doctor. They're not bad people. It's just, and they're trying to be helpful, but their only tool is a drug. That's all they've got. So they want to be helpful, but they keep giving you more and more drugs. The problem with that is every drug has a potential side effect. And many of you are actually having symptoms, suffering poor health from the drugs you're taking. Now, don't stop your drugs, whatever you do. Now, if you work with me, we'll work on slowly helping you get off your drugs as you start to do the natural protocols. But for heaven's sake, don't stop your medications. But if you've got a doctor that's got you on, and I see this all the time, they've got you on 2 different antidepressants, so they may have you on Cymbalta, and then they have you on Lexapro, or they have you on Cymbalta and Paxil, or Cymbalta and Wellbutrin, or whatever it is. You don't want to be on 2 of these antidepressants. It just increases the risk of more side effects. That's a doctor who really doesn't know what he or she is doing, so they're clueless. You will encounter a lot of clueless doctors who will tell you, well, you look good to me. You look healthy. You look okay. Well, I mean, you don't have, a horn growing out of your forehead or, boils coming out of your skin, but you feel bad. You're sick. I mean, you got fibromyalgia, and they'll tell you, well, you look good to me. And what they're implying, and you feel this, is that you're just a pill seeker. You just want another drug, maybe more pain medications. And I'm not anti-pain medication. Here's the problem with pain medication, is that long-term it creates problems. And what we see is that you continue to have to take more and more of the pain meds, and then you have to take stronger and stronger pain meds. And again, you can't drug your way out of fibromyalgia. There's other approaches that will raise your pain threshold so you have less pain and not have to take all this pain medication. And I go into great detail about that in my book. But the problem with pain medication is that, like all medication, is that long-term it doesn't work. And if you start taking pain medication when you're in your 20s or 30s, what are you going to do when you're in the 60s and 70s? So don't stop your pain medication, but I encourage you to have an open mind and check out my book, check out my website or whatever, and see there's some protocols, some natural protocols. And then they'll tell you, here's the other thing that I know frustrates you, because you tell me, right? Well, all your blood work looks good, and meanwhile you're falling apart, right? I mean, you can barely get out of bed. Your hair's coming out. Got cold hands, cold feet. You have to go outside in the sun, and you have to bundle up in a jacket. You have anxiety and depression and irritable bowel, restless leg syndrome, and migraine headaches, and you have all these things, and they tell you, well, all your blood work is normal. Surely something has to be wrong with me. How can my blood work be normal, right? Well, it's probably not normal. It's just your doctor is doing very basic blood work, very basic testing, and because of that, you're going to fall through the cracks because you're not like somebody else. You're much different than someone who's got type 2 diabetes or someone who has battling high blood pressure or one of these things like that. fibromyalgia is super, super complicated. And you've got to work with a doctor who's going to do the detective work, think outside the box, and really do some thorough testing. Because if you just get basic testing, as most people do, you're going to find they're going to come back and tell you everything's normal. And the problem with that is, you're not normal, right? So it's just they're not doing the appropriate blood work. They're doing really basic blood work. Now, the other thing you're going to hear, and you hear this more and more, and it's the common thread in the fibromyalgia community, is you're going to hear that you just have to learn to live with it. And I don't know if that doctor's clueless or not. He or she has just bought into this mentality that most people, and most people in the fibromyalgia community bought into this. It's sad. And that's why I'm doing these presentations. That's why I share so much free information on my website. That's why I do the free Tuesday night call-in programs, is because there's this whole mentality now, and people have bought into this, that you just have to learn to live with it. And I don't believe that. I don't believe you have to, nor should you learn to live with it. I think you need to learn to overcome it. And that's what I help my patients do. Now, I don't have all the answers. I don't. I certainly don't. And I don't help every patient that I work with, but my success rate's about 85%. I feel pretty good about that, working with my patients. But here's the thing. If you buy into this doom and gloom that you have to learn to live with it, what's left? What's left? What's left? If you've got, you're in your 50s, you got another 25, 30 years. So don't give up. Don't buy into that. I may not be the right doctor from you. My book, Treating and Beating Fibromyalgia and Chronic Fatigue Syndrome, is available Amazon.com, available on my website, available on BarnesandNoble.com. If you find that it's sold out, because there for a while it was sold out, you can certainly get it on my website, yourfibrodoctor.com. But I would encourage you to look at all the free material on my site. There's free videos, free past teleconferences that I do every Tuesday night. Those are free. And if that information resonates with you, it makes sense to you, then start to learn more about these protocols that I've been using over the last 20 years and see if it can be helpful for you. I think it will be. And in the meantime, what I would encourage you to do, this is the homework. I'm going to give you some homework. If you've got a doctor that you think has given up on you, and many do, they just kind of give up because they think you just have to learn to live with it, and you go back and they just basically, you can almost tell, they kind of dread that you're there. Now here's the thing, it's not you, okay, it's them. And doctors have big egos, and they get tired of seeing you come back month after month and you're not better. And the only thing they've got is to give you more drugs, and they know from past experience that drugs long term are not the answer, and they're not going to be helpful, and so they give up on you. So they quit doing testing, they quit doing these things. And that's not every doctor, and many of you that are watching this program have great doctors and stick with them. I'm sharing information that for those of you who are unhappy with your present doctor, or doctors plural, find another doctor. And I think one thing that you're going to learn, if you do read my book, or if you go on and you see all the free resources on my website, that there's a whole nother world out there other than just conventional medicine treating the symptoms. Treating the symptoms for most people is going to lead to more symptoms. So this is Dr. Rodger Murphree, yourfibrodoctor.com, author of Treating and Beating Fibromyalgia and Chronic Fatigue Syndrome. I look forward to meeting some of you perhaps on a phone consultation. As I said earlier, I do phone consults with patients all over the world. I'd love to have the opportunity to help you feel good again. Maybe I'll get a chance to meet you on a free Tuesday night teleconference. You can find out about those on the website. I do those every Tuesday night. Those are free call-in programs. I also share information like I am on this video right here. But I look forward to meeting some of you in the near future. I hope you have a great weekend.